Hi folks, we are cleaning out the fridge. The last trip we took we had a few spillages and we failed to clean them out after the trip. So of course the fridge is pretty hairy, moldy. So we've got a mix of 50-50 water and bleach, Clorox, and we're just kind of cleaning it up. And I'll probably end up with spotted pants after this. I don't know if I've ever told you, but in my fridge I keep these little expansion rods. They're just a little rod that's spring-loaded, and you screw them in and out, and you've got just about a 1/4 inch of play on the ends with a spring, and that keeps things in the fridge. You put them across the front like that, and it keeps things, if the door opens, it keeps things from falling out. So it's a good bit of insurance if you're worried about your fridge falling open. If you haven't seen these, I'll put these on my webpage with an Amazon link, or maybe I'll do them down below. Nobody looks at the description down below anymore, so look at the description down below, and these should be in there. Or go to my webpage. GoingNowhereFastRV.com. The shelves on my refrigerator come off. The fronts do anyways. So I can take them inside and wash them. Then come back out, put them back in. Well, hi folks, we're just greasing our bearings. I keep track of my use of the trailer, and about every 3,000 miles I pump a few squirts of grease in here. It kind of moves it around a little bit. The grease goes in the middle and comes all the way to the back, and then comes back forward through the bearing. It goes through the axle, then comes out and comes up through the bearing. So it's a good thing to kind of do this, and you want to do it slowly. Like, you don't want to go pump, 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 pump. I pump a little bit, give it a minute, let it ooze through the bearings or through the axles and stuff like that. You pump too fast, it'll just blow out the back of the axle. You blow your seal and you'll ruin your bearings. And if you've got brakes, I don't have brakes, you'll ruin all sorts of other things. But let me bring you down here so come on down so you can see a little better, closer. So this is just a cap. I can take this cap off, and maybe I'll do that. You don't need to. There's grease inside the cap. And this is the plug that goes on this, and that fills with grease too. As the wheel bearings work and heat up, and the grease moves around. But you kind of see that grease is a nice green grease. That means it hasn't been burned, it hasn't been abused. I'm not worried about my bearings. Now, if you've got brakes, you got to remember these are electric brakes, and they're automatic, kind of. You really never know how hot these get, so you may burn your bearings, you may burn your grease. Grease Greasing wheel bearings is a very dirty job. So you might want to have somebody do this. It does cost quite a bit. You can see all this. So that's the wheel hub, or the bolt. You take out that pin and then you take off that bolt, and then the bearing just pops right out. When you put that bolt back in, you want to put it to a certain level and then back it off just 1 notch so the bearing has good movement. These are pretty nice. No noise, but of course there's no brake on this car, on this trailer. And I do lift my thing up with a floor jack under the axle. They recommend not doing that, mostly because they're afraid it'll come off the axle. If you look around the edge, you can see grease coming out. Grease will be moving out at this edge, and that's because it's going through the bearings. And it's dirty grease coming out, clean grease going in. You got to make sure this thing's on all the way though. It does click and it does stay on, but it goes, you leak out the sides if you're not careful. There's a little leakage out the back. I don't know, not enough, nothing compared to what I put in there, but you can see how dirty it was in the back behind the axle. That's a little leakage from wearing down and stuff, but that's all you need to do to your bearings. I do it once every 3,000 to 5,000 miles, and I don't have any troubles. I've got 38,000 on this trailer now. That's a few miles. We're going places, that's for sure. Then you just want to tap that in real careful. The tough part is putting this thing back on, because you got to get it in the groove and in the little there we go. That's nice. Now you just put the wheel on. Hello. One of the other things that my trailer has that came on the trailer are these little hubcaps that a lot of people don't like because they cover up this portion of the bearing right here, and you can't feel them to see if they're hot. When you're on the road, you put your hand on them, or you can take a laser thermometer and check to see if the bearings are too hot. Since I don't have brakes, I don't care. So I have that inside my wheel like this. There we go. And see, it's like a little hubcap. Now, whenever I put lug nuts on a car or a trailer or anything else, I put them on about 2 turns to get them started. Then on the lug nut, I put just a drop of oil. It makes them so they're easier to get off and easier to get on. Just 1 drop is all you really need. Sometimes I put a little more by mistake, but... And I do cheat by using an impact wrench. Not really to tighten them down, but just to get them on. They're good. Now, a lot of people don't realize that these little black covers This is a little black cover. You see that? Little black cover that goes over the nuts. That just keeps the weather off them. Those are not your nuts. You do not have mag bolts. Unless you do. But I've met a couple of people trying to change their tires and they can't get a wrench to stick on these little black covers. But those are just a cover. So don't be fooled by that. So there we go. Now I got to do the other side. While I'm down here, I'll check the tire pressure. I haven't put any air in these tires in almost a year. They're good tires. They're RSD Anglers. And I love this gauge. If you don't have one of these gauges, this is the nicest gauge in the world. Digital gauge. It's on my web page for sale. Click on it. 50 pounds. These are great tires. They are getting a little thin on top. They're 3 years old. I had tires on my Honda that were 14 years old. Just changed them this year, as a matter of fact. I know that people say that, you know, tires dry rot out. And in the South that may be true if they're sitting in the sun all the time, but if you're driving your tires and using them, they flex a lot and it keeps them pretty good, in pretty good shape. You can tell if they're dry rotten. Look for cracks and things on the sidewalls. Here's something I got from one of my subscribers. I guess he or his son-in-law, somebody makes this. They make these, and it's like a plug for your trailer, but it's only got 3 pins in there. But they make these, and there's a little switch on the back to turn it on and off. And what you do with this is you come over here, you come over to your plug that you plug into your vehicle, and you plug it into this little adapter thing, and it goes in just like it would plug in on your car. And the little switch lights up, you can see that. And when you have it on, when it's lit, you turn it on like that. We'll let that hang there for a minute. You can see that that's on. Come here. You can see that little light is on. All my trailer lights are on. Now, this is pretty cool. It just lights up all the lights. So that if you're in a campground or a park and you want to have, if you've got a better trailer than an A-liner, my A-liner's old, it doesn't have very many lights on it, but if you've got your running lights wired up so that you've got running lights all over the place, you can then use your battery power, because it works off your battery, to run your running lights. And you can turn it on and off, leave it on for a couple hours, turn it off, and the lights go off. And that's a pretty cool little device. I like that. If you got enough power, or if you just, you know, if you're not hooked up to your car and you want lights, if you're plugged in, you can do it that way. But they sell these for $20 plus shipping and handling, which is roughly $4. So let's say $25. And it's made pretty nice. It's not like it's going to fall apart or anything. It's made as good as that. I mean, it's a real 6 to 24 volt trailer plug. And he just put a switch in it and wired it up. I think that's pretty cool. It's Poolboylatham at gmail.com if you're interested. I'll put a link in the description below. Look down below. Push the more button. There's a little more thing down there to see the rest of the description. And I'll also put it on my webpage because that's a pretty neat little thing. So the fridge is cooling up. After cleaning it, we had to clean it out. We're stocking food and stuff. I probably should put on clean pillowcases. And we got Dakota's bed already. So I think we're ready to go camping. Let's go.